Pokémon Detective Pikachu is directed by Rob Letterman, and this is the newest attempt at a live-action adaptation of a popular video game. This film follows a young man named Tim, who after his father is found missing, he and his father's Pokémon, Pikachu, they must follow a trail if they are to find Tim's father alive. Pokémon was something that was really popular when I was growing up, and since then it has become this cultural phenomenon that has just taken over the world. Just a few years ago, Pokemon Go was one of the most talked about things that year. It was absolutely everywhere. Everyone was playing that game, and as a result, this movie was fast-tracked into development to hopefully cash in on some of that interest. Now, although Pokemon was incredibly popular when I was a kid, it's never something that I fully was invested in. I mean, sure, I saw some episodes of the cartoon on television, and sure, I saw Pokemon the first movie, and sure, I played some of the video games, shout out to Pokemon Blue for the Game Boy, but when it came to the idea of a live-action remake, I think, understandably, I was a little hesitant. It's well known that attempts at making video game to movie adaptations have gone pretty rough so far. There have been some examples of some pretty mild successes, but unfortunately, there are far more examples of absolute catastrophes. Even to this day, I don't think that I've fully recovered from having to experience Assassin's Creed. Now, with Pokémon Detective Pikachu, I think unanimously, audiences will respond to this film positively. Now, with that being said, I didn't love this film, but I did enjoy it. So I would probably put it slightly above par with some of the more successful video game to movie adaptations. I think everyone who has seen this movie is pretty much in agreement that the highlight of Detective Pikachu is Ryan Reynolds, who essentially is the glue that holds this movie together. Pikachu works absolute magic in this film, and not only is he completely precious, but that cute little body is paired with the equally adorable Ryan Reynolds. It's pretty much a match made in heaven. There also is a pretty sizable chunk of this movie that is fairly reminiscent of old noir films like The Big Sleep or The Third Man. In fact, I almost would encourage this movie to lean into that element a bit more. No, I don't need a gritty Pokemon movie, but I think if this film would have just had a dash more of that hard-boiled detective feel to it, I think it could have given this film a big boost, similar to something like Who Framed Roger Rabbit being a good example of how that can be done well. This film largely takes place in the fictional city of Rhyme City, a city where Pokemon and people live in harmony. I thought the setting was really fun, and similar to something like Chinatown, the setting in which the story takes place almost comes to be a character of its own. I also think it's worth noting that those who were involved in bringing these Pokemon characters to life are well deserving of much applause. These Pokemon are designed in such a way that they feel tangible, yet they are still recognizable to how they look in the cartoons and in the video games. And I think that this is really important to distinguish because we've seen what can happen if this is done poorly. However, I do feel that there are some areas in which Detective Pikachu falls a bit short. This film does reach a point where it transitions from this fun mystery film and develops into being much more of this garish adventure movie. And at times, I felt like it was just a bit too much. There's a scene at this research facility that I feel like is a good example of how this film goes from intriguing to pretty absurd rather quickly. Also, due to the fact that this film is similar to that of a noir film, yet it is designated for children, there are quite a few scenes in this movie that deliver some pretty heavy-handed exposition. In fact, there are more than a few scenes in this movie in which characters are given information that they need to know to continue the film along, but it's given to them through these augmented reality holograms. However, I would say thankfully this film knows where its money lies, and that is of course with the name brand of Pokemon. The human characters I don't think ever felt overbearing or ever were really able to overpower characters like Pikachu, who I said is probably the driving force behind this movie and is by far the highlight of this film. In fact, if this character was to be removed or altered with perhaps a different voice actor, I think this film's watchability would take a nosedive, which I do feel probably says something about the quality of this film. Overall, I enjoyed watching Detective Pikachu. I think it's funny, I think it's entertaining, And for those of you who are lifelong die-hard Pokemon fans, I think this film delivers a lot of elements that you will be highly satisfied with. But as someone who is not overly attached to this property, I did find this movie's narrative to be serviceable at best. So did you guys see Pokémon Detective Pikachu? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video. And if you did, you can click on the link down below and subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews and movie related things. Guys, thank you so much for watching and see you next time.